Hey, what's up, everybody? Oh, wow, that was perfect. You know what? Fuck it, I'm leaving it in. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the CrespoCast. You can tell this is only the second one, and in honor of the fact that it's number two, there's only two people. That's not actually why, but you know.
Yes, it is. This is intentional.
This is totally intentional, and not the fact that the presidential debates were on last night and Harley drank herself stupid. So you know that's a thing. I mean, I was talking to her earlier, and she's like, if she's just laying still, everything's fine. Like, she's not.
God.
But you know, I asked her, I'm like, hey, so it's 30 minutes before the podcast. You wanna set this up? And she's like, I don't want to. I'm not. Like, she's like, yeah, I'm way too hungover to go set up the computer and the mic. I'm like, awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I know the presidential debates mean nothing to you, but have you seen Twitter?
Oh, I've seen Twitter. There's no way I couldn't see Twitter this morning.
I gotta say, my favorite is Mark Hamill. What a legend.
I don't know if I'm following him. I know that I should be. But.
So he put the debates were the worst thing he has ever seen, and he was part of the Star Wars holiday special. I'm like, oh, you legend. Or the director from the Fantastic Four, the bad Fantastic Four movie, Fan Four Stick. Remember that one?
Vaguely.
Yeah, that's basically how it goes. Most people don't remember that, but even he was like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen, and I directed that movie. Oh, man. But I don't want to dive into politics because we were having an interesting conversation before the podcast, and I had to cut it off. But no, because you were saying about the Audacity and the editing and that kind of stuff, and so hopefully everybody liked. I mean, what did you think about the aesthetic that I set up for the last one, like the video when it came out?
Yeah, I liked it. It seemed nice and sleek and simple. Like, I thought it was neat.
So I had a different idea in mind. And this is what I was going to say. I'm holding off until we start the podcast because originally it was going to be waveforms going around the logos, around our logos, which there's a different logo for you this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no more KDA character.
I am not a KDA character.
I like the fact, though, that it was animated that way. Like,
yeah.
Your animation character is officially a KDA character.
Yeah, if I ever wanted to voice a Kali before, I've done it now, I guess.
Yes, you have. Yeah. So, yeah, that was pretty cool. So, but, yeah, there was going to be a waveform surrounding the audio, or the audio waveforms were going to be surrounding each of us, and then it was going to basically, obviously the waveforms would move whenever we talked. And so I decided, well, I don't have After Effects on my Mac because in the instance that my continuously more and more unreliable MacBook Pro decides that the keyboard wants to fail again and I need to send it out and I don't have it, I'll keep the Creative Cloud setup over on my PC. Seems reasonable. It's more powerful, the whole 9 yards. So I composed everything, put it all together, linked the waveform effects, the audio spectrum effects to each of our audio lines, and I was like, I'll just make it separate, and then I'll lay it in, and I'll comp it into a regular clip later, and I'll just have the basics. So I hit render. 13-hour render time.
Yep.
Waveforms are apparently difficult no matter how good your system is.
Yeah, I when I did the Q&A for Only Smiles a couple months ago, it was same kind of deal. All it is, it's really simple. It's just, hey, we've got our waveforms on there around our logos, same idea.
Yep.
And you know, just that. It was I think it ended up, I think I tried cutting it down to like a 15-minute video or something like that.
Yeah. And
the only other little special effect thing that I did, thing, was I also added little, not flickering, but little particles just drifting down screen so it wasn't just a still.
Yeah.
And that was like 7 hours.
Yup.
Or like 3 hours or something like that. Multiple hours for
Yep.
like something that I really didn't think was going to be a ton. And like,
Yeah.
you know, I export videos fairly regularly, and they're never that long rendering.
Oh, it's insane. Well, and like the effects that I ended up settling on with just the glow going around the images, the text, and then the moving background. Even with that, now that was all done on my Mac. I built up I have like a bunch of background templates for like active backgrounds. And the background I actually used is a modified version of what I use for the background of my little end card on my videos. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I know that, you know, it spikes because it renders to the graphics card or whatever. I know the graphics card like spikes at the end of my videos. I'm like, but whatever. An hour, I think the last podcast was like an hour and 31 minutes. It ended up taking almost 2 hours to render, because apparently just straight up rendering fully composed CGI and like a CG background, no video, anything, and then just dumping the entire thing into a render queue. Just like, oh, I'm not happy with that. Sorry, I got paused up there because my computer was like, hey, you want to update? Stop it. You're a Mac. You're not Windows. Give it a rest. Calm down. There we go. Anyway, but yeah, so that was fun, and this podcast was fun to set up. Oh my god. Because apparently your direct message is not the podcast planning setup.
No, it's not. It's not. You know, I almost started messaging the podcast planning like channel, and being like, "Hey, like, should we be talking in here?" I was like, Garrett said Harley might not be here. I assume this is intentional. If it's just us two, it's fine.
No. Well, I said that because I know that she was like, the one day that I had texted you about that, I was like trying to set it up, and it's just one of those like, I don't know if she'll be asleep, I don't know if she'll be awake, whatever. And so that's why I said that was, I'm like, I don't know if she'll be asleep or awake or whatever. So we'll play it as if, you know, if she's not, that sucks. If she is, great. And so I texted her today. I'm like, hey, if you're awake, we're going to be recording the podcast around 3. And she goes, what podcast? And I'm like, the one that I've been talking with Haven about. She goes, oh, wait, I was not informed that there was a podcast today. And keep in mind, like, so one of the things I was going to do today, which is why I delayed it as far as it is, I was going to go antique store hunting for, I've been trying to find, I've gotten a weird new obsession with Polaroids. So I've been trying to find a bunch of cool old Polaroid cameras.
Polaroids are cool.
They're so cool. I've got 4 of them now. Yeah. I've got one of the old ones too. If you look up the SX70, I have one of those with all of its original paperwork, the warranty pamphlet, the bag. I'm so happy that I found it. And it was like $130. It was like super cheap for a Polaroid like that, because those go on eBay for like $600 to $800. I was
Crazy.
like, $120? I'll take it. And they got another one in there for $60. They got another one in there for $60 that I'm going to go back and buy at some point. But anyway, yeah, so I'm standing in the middle of this antique store with my phone out, and I'm like, wait a minute. And I swipe over to Discord, and I look, and I'm like, oh, that just says Haven on top. That doesn't say podcast planning. That's a problem.
You know, I know you're still pretty new to Discord, but come on.
Well, okay, do you want to share what you had to do when you became a manager on my Discord server?
Oh yeah, I had to just revamp your entire layout of your Discord server. Because you're like, hey, do you want to become a manager on my Discord? I was like, sure. Can I please fix the layout of your Discord? Because this is a disaster.
Yeah. It's like, what have I done?
Added categories, rearranged everything. I was like, fuck. And like, even then, that's not everything that I would have done for most servers. I was like, okay, at least this is manageable now.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's one of the reasons, because I knew you were significantly more, comfortable or experienced with Discord, and so, because like, you know, it was the same thing when I made Harley a mod for my YouTube chats, where it's basically like, hey, here you go, and it's like, oh, I don't really know, but I'll figure it out kind of thing. But I figured with you, it's like, hey, you use this a lot. You want to maybe make sure the mine's not total
gotcha.
trash?
Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, I'm super late to discovering most things on the internet, unfortunately. Like it's a miracle that I was actually like ahead of the game when reactions were a thing. Like that is the one time I think ever I have actually been like at the forefront or ahead of something on the internet. Every other time has just been like, hey, this is a cool thing. Like, oh my God, I'll give you the perfect example. I was talking with Harley the other day, and I was like, have you seen this song? And it was the Bury the Light from Devil May Cry 5. Have you seen it?
I have not.
Okay, I highly, highly recommend it. It is one of the most well-mixed, badass rock synth song. It's so hard to explain because it's like I watched a video of this music composer who was breaking it down, and there's like so many things going on. He's like, there's like 8 different like musical stylings going on in here, and then halfway through there's a violin solo followed by a shredded guitar solo. Like I don't know what I'm listening to, but it's amazing. And she just goes, bro, dude, I've been obsessed with this for over a week. And then I looked, and like basically half the internet has been obsessed with this since it dropped. And I'm just like, hey guys, check this. I mean, it's the same way with freaking Has Been Hotel. I discovered that and I was like, this is really cool. And then I look at the release time, I'm like, I'm so late on this.
You discovered that really recently, right?
I did.
And
I did.
like it's been literally months. It's been like 6 months.
It's been 6 months since it came out, I believe.
Yeah.
And couple, like I believe a year or two in the making with like short comic dubs and scenes that were in the works coming out and
like
stuff.
It was really getting hyped up for its release.
Yeah, and I paid no attention to. Well, like that kind of stuff doesn't really fall under my radar because the YouTube algorithm basically seems to think that it's like, hey, you're into anime and technology, oh, and here's a car video once in a while. Like that's basically it.
See, for me, it fell on to my Twitter timeline a lot because all the voice actors. So it was a big like topic of discussion in voice acting. Where
I would love to like. There's so many shows on YouTube where I'm like, I would love to voice in that show. So
then pay attention to voice actor and Twitter so that you can find the friggin' auditions for it because they are always around.
I know, and I need to do that more. That's another, again, behind on things, remember?
Yep. Every time I feel like we talk, there's like a point where you're like, oh yeah, I wanna pay a little bit more attention to voice acting. I'm like, then do it. Garrett, do it.
Oh no, I've done a handful of things to pay more attention. Like I'm currently I'm keeping an eye on Now Voice This. So the next time they drop a tweet about like the challenge, yeah, I'm gonna go all in for that.
Heck yeah.
I mean, I did the one thing I did do that I thought was fun is I need to think of an interesting kind of voice demo because I don't want it to just be like, here's a bunch of voices and they're all me. I want to actually like try to make something creative so it actually like catches your attention and shows what I can do.
Yeah. I'm in the middle of just like getting an actual demo made.
Yeah, I've got an idea for a demo. Essentially, it's going to be a video demo, but it's like I'm basically not going to spend any time on screen because I'm going to walk up like I'm prepping for it, and then the door's going to knock, and each time I go back to the door, it's going to be a different voice of mine at the door talking to me. So we'll see if that works. It might end up being a scrapped project, but I don't know, maybe.
I mean, it sounds at least fun to try.
Yeah, it'd definitely be fun to try. Like maybe I'll even just post it just to post it and not like, hey, here's a voice demo, quote unquote, but it's not really much. So, yeah. But I did an impressions video. That was fun. I know impression videos don't really give talent scouts anything, but
they're fun. They're just fun.
Oh, they're so much fun. Yeah,
and I mean, like so long as you also know that they aren't much, then whatever.
No, I'm fully aware of that because I was like, I'm doing an impression video because they're just fun. Like that was my reason. They're fun.
There's literally there's nothing wrong with doing impressions whatsoever at all. And actually it's really cool and you can learn a lot from doing them. Just so long as it's not like, hey, this is me, and like that's not though. It's not you're doing do you try you?
Yeah. Well, that's how I discovered like the lower portion of my range was doing like impressions of All Might and Einzel Gone from the dubs. Like that's how I discovered like the low point, like not only the low point of my range, but also how to maintain that.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, I discovered that I could do, teenage male voices by, like just trying out Black Star and Tails one day, and I was like, oh, that's fun. I can do that.
You sure it wasn't from like when everybody thought you were a boy when you were doing when you were?
Yeah.
Who was it when we did the Exceed Squad? There was somebody later on because I was there at that point. I forget who it was. I don't remember who it was. Somebody said that, and you're like, no, I am
still not a dude. Thank you. Still have never been a dude.
Nope.
Thank you.
Oh man, that is funny. Well, I mean, it's hard because like a lot of the stuff, like especially with the way that like a lot of us met, is like we have no visual like especially early on there was no real visual context. I think it was like
we were on Skype.
It's like I think the only visual, I mean it's kind of hard to assume that I'm anything other than a guy with my voice, but like we didn't really know what any of the actors looked like except for I know I was probably one of them because I had a YouTube channel at that point. Matt doesn't even do it.
No.
Harley
and also
didn't.
At that point there was like on Skype you couldn't do that many people on visual calls either. Like you couldn't do video calls with more than like 3 people or something like that.
Yeah.
So we would do like group calls with like 7 or 8 of us, and it's like we're not using video at that point. It's just not happening.
Yeah. No, I think trying to think. I think the first time I ever met you all, or I think the first time I ever actually saw you and Matt in person was the Canada trip. The first time. I want to say that was maybe.
That's the first time you actually saw us? There's no way.
I know it was the first time I ever saw Harley. I know that.
Yeah, that one makes sense.
Yeah, I know that. I definitely Matt. Maybe I think you as well. I don't remember.
Huh.
I don't know because I know it was funny because.
Hold on, what year was that?
That was 2015.
No, that was 2016 because that's when I was about to go to university.
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
you guys definitely you
binged
definitely would have seen me.
Okay.
Because I did a project in high school, that like I did that was revolving around the stuff that I did with you guys at the time. And I'm pretty sure I shared it with you guys, and I was definitely on camera for it.
Gotcha. Huh.
So if you definitely would have seen me before.
Okay, then I would have seen you. But yeah, definitely Matt and Harley were 2 that I had never met before. Also, I love the fact that I still remember this because it was just so funny. He's like, "What is with everybody wearing the Death the Kid stuff?" And I didn't even realize that morning I had put on because he does. For people listening who have no context, he does an incredible. I mean, basically an incredible Todd Haberkorn impression, but at the time it was Death the Kid and Natsu that he was doing a lot of.
Yeah.
In fact, I think his channel at the time was exclusively
Death the Kid.
A Death the Kid impression playing games, which was great.
Which now it's Sonic.
Death the Kid plays. Yeah, now it's Sonic, which is its own just complete, amazing, entertaining guy. I can't say enough good stuff about Sonic.
It's wild.
It's so weird because it's like especially now I just picture like the movie Sonic, not the bad one, but like the good movie Sonic, just sitting down playing video games. It's like that is an image and a half, and I love it.
Oh man, I love that.
Yeah, but yeah, at the time he did like exclusively Death the Kid stuff, and like I don't have many. Well, I have a lot of T-shirts, but I have like the rotating 6 to 10 that I wear consistently, and it's funny because I just threw that on, and because I think I had packed all the others, so it was the one I had left out, and I threw it on, just thinking, whatever, it's a rattier shirt, I can drive 8 hours and sweat it into my car, and I don't care. And then when he goes, why does everybody wear Death the Kid stuff? And I'm like, what? Oh yeah, that's right. I was so delirious at that point. I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing.
Was that was that when we met you down in Niagara Falls?
Yeah, it was the first time we ever met in person.
Wild.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah. Well, yeah, because it was like, I was like, this is a hell of a way to meet people. Also, your mom gave me crap because I couldn't think straight about like, well, where are you at? I'm like, I don't know, it's probably the only car with a Maryland license plate here. And then she's like, you could have said blue hatchback. I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, it sounds like my mom.
I think when you guys, yeah, right. Because when you guys found me, I'm pretty sure you guys found my car. And I was like...
You were sitting in the middle of, like, basically an empty parking lot, for the most part, by, like, the movie theater. There was, like, a little cinema there.
Yep, because the seat was basically tipped the whole way back, and I was like... Well, because I think it took you guys probably, like, 15 minutes, and I think for probably the first 10 of those, I was, like, asleep. And then I woke up, and I saw that I had, like, 3 text messages. I was like, I should probably get out and stand and look around. So, you know, when you go to meet people for the first time, describe your car if they don't know what your car looks like, and then, you know, don't fall asleep in it and wait for them.
Yeah. So. Yeah, especially like with your seat all the way back so we can't even see you in the car.
Yeah, I don't even, like, this is the one thing I don't know, you guys probably could have very easily driven past me at one point, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because well, I had only driven at most 4 hours before. So, like, going from 4 hours to, like, 6 hours to get there and then another 2, I think, to get to where you're staying. It's
about
like
an hour and a half to
an hour and a half. Yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah. That was rough. That was the longest I'd ever driven. Now it's like, especially driving to visit Harley, it's like just whatever.
Yeah,
like,
whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter anymore. It's like I'm more worried about my car than me at this point.
Well, it's funny that you never actually... visited me when I lived in Niagara.
I know!
Like, I did for a little while. And
that would have been so much easier.
And it would have been so much easier for you because it would have been, like, less time than actually driving to where I really live.
Yeah. It's like the most, like... well, I mean, this part never changes. I was going to say the most stress-inducing part isn't even the drive anymore. It's just crossing the border, which is not even a thing right now. So, you know, yay!
Whoa.
But man. Yeah, that was its own terrible experience. I think no, it wasn't that time. It was the second time I came up there, and this was something. Well, let me think here. Yeah, I think it was the second time I ever went up there, because it was just Harley and I. Yeah, it was just Harley and I because I picked her up from a freaking taco store and well, because it's like her dad was coming up with the other cosplay stuff later and we were going to meet up, and I remember because we were going to load everything into my car and she starts pulling out this stuff, and for reference I drive a small blue hatchback, like it's tiny, I did the measurements, it's about 5 inches wider than an original Volkswagen Beetle. It's not a big car.
No.
And yeah, and she goes, all right, here's the stuff. And she starts pulling stuff out, and I'm like, yeah, like this, like I opened the trunk, which at that point was basically the entire back half of the car because I dropped the seats, and my stuff was already taking up like a quarter of it, and her stuff would have taken up another 6 quarters. And for those of you good with math, that doesn't work. Like this isn't gonna work. But we go pulling up to the border, and I just come rolling up. And at the time, I had a hole in my exhaust, and the thing had basically, because it's a manual, because I have a thing for driving with 3 pedals.
Oh my God!
What?
And then during this whole time, Harley was also texting me that your brakes had broken.
Oh yeah. That's another. I'll put an editor me. Hey, editor me, wake up. Put a picture here of what my brake rotors and brake pads looked like when I made it home. Just because, when we get to that Well, no, I'll tell it now, and then I'll talk about why I was afraid I wasn't going to make it across the border. Yeah, that's metal on metal because essentially, we drove up there. I drove back and dropped Harley off, and she was really worried because every time I stopped, it sounded like somebody was throwing a cheese grater into a wood chipper, and so I was like, "Yeah, that's not a normal sound." And I know my car pretty well. I've had my hands on almost every bolt in that car at this point. So I was kind of like, yeah, it's something in the brakes. I'm not too worried. So 500 miles later, I make it home. For 500 of those miles, I had been driving with one of my front brakes basically not there. The material for the brake pads had gone, and I was basically just driving with metal on metal. For most of the drive.
I just found some of the messages that Harley had sent me.
Oh no!
During the whole thing.
Oh boy! Please go on. I'm going to take a drink while you do this.
I actually wrote a whole short paper about this for a creative writing class.
Oh boy!
3 p.m. I got a message from Harley. We are at the border, and he's already sick of me.
Which is funny because I'm dating her now.
And you guys also had to drop you had to get something from, you had to get Steinsky from my house.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Please censor where I used to live.
I'm not gonna bother. Like, you can just describe or read it out. Or if you
I
want to
said,
put it up,
I said the location.
Oh,
censor that for me.
Okay, we'll do.
Yeah. So I got these messages. His car is going to die. Crying smiley face. I responded like, for real? Because that'd be hilarious.
Oh wow, you were so concerned. I appreciate that.
She responded, we may have to trek it like in the Oregon Trail.
Oh my god.
And then I asked, okay, but no, seriously, is the car all right? And then she said, you know how I said there's no brakes on the hype train? Well, the same goes for Garrett's car.
Oh boy.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that sounds like her. I mean, granted, that's probably like just payback because like it's probably payback for the first time we met. So, because I think what was this? Yeah, this was 2015 because she
2017.
What's that? 2016?
16?
What?
16? It might have been
15,
16.
16?
Not 15.
Either way.
Definitely not 15.
So it would have been 16 then.
It would have been 17 because you guys picked stuff up from
No, I'm saying the first time I met her.
Oh, the first time you met her.
2016.
Gotcha.
Because I think because we were going down to the main floor at Fan Expo, and this was the first time we met her was in the convention hall at Fan Expo.
Right.
And like keep in mind, this is the girl I'm dating, lovely girl, love her to death. And the first words out of my mouth to her after "Hi, my name is Garrett," we were getting on an elevator. And we all get on, or an escalator, and we all get on one side, she gets on the other, and they're both going down. And she just looks across and she goes, what is this, some kind of segregation? I just look over at her. Now, keep in mind, she's 5'1". And I go, you must be this tall to ride. And I'm pretty sure if she wasn't in cosplay, she would have come over and fed me into the gearing at the bottom of the escalator.
Fully climbed over it and would have just stuffed you inside.
Oh, yeah. Hi, my name's Garrett, followed by, you're short. Yeah. And then the following year, we drove up, and I drove up there with, like, failing brakes and drove home with one completely failed brake. And, yeah, one of the guys I know who's actually really into cars saw my brake pads afterwards and was like, wow, you were welding. I was like, yeah, basically. Yeah, but I thought we weren't going to make it across the border because not only were my brakes failing, but there was a hole in the muffler. I think you remember this because I started up and you're like, this is louder than last time. And it's like, yes, it is. Yes, it is. It was either you or Harley. Either one of you commented on the fact that it was louder than before, which it was because there was a hole. But because it's a manual, you can stall those if you don't move the throttle and the clutch correctly. And I stall every time I would stall. which didn't happen often, but it happened once going up a hill. I stalled, and it would boom, boom, and it would backfire
Oh my
because there was
God.
basically no muffler. I stalled it at the border,
Oh
and my
no.
heart sank because I was just waiting because it's a delay because essentially it stalls, the gas goes out that didn't burn because you're an idiot and you stalled the car, the fuel dumps out into the exhaust and then lights and boom, so there's a delay, and that like half-second delay before I realized that it wasn't going to pop was the longest half second of my life because I was waiting to hear that pop and be surrounded by border guards. I'm pretty sure that for that like split second, I was paler than Harley.
Oh my God. I don't remember you mentioning that.
Yeah. No, probably because Harley was probably too busy just telling you about all the reasons why my car was going to die.
Yeah.
Excuse me, was going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I
Goodness.
miss that. I miss driving up there.
Yeah, I miss
need to
having
do
you here.
It's oh man, it's so sad right
Yeah,
now.
it really
the
is.
world is sad.
Everything is so sad right now. Oh my goodness.
Man. Yeah.
Because, like,
Go ahead.
no, I was going to
go
say,
ahead.
like, we're about to, like, get into a whole probably another shutdown soon. And it's like,
Flu season.
yeah, everything's terrible.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, like I was at work and I had somebody like, your nose sounds stuffy. I'm like, yeah, we're coming up on like, the trees dying and pollen being everywhere
Yeah.
again, and they're like, oh, are you sure you're not catching anything? I'm like, why? Are you scared? And they're like, well, you're supposed to fill out the form. I'm like, I did. And you said your nose was stuffy? I'm like, that's not a selectable option. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, nose being stuffy isn't a selectable option. I can breathe on you if you'd like to test, but I'm pretty sure I'm okay.
I had a moment the other day. I was walking through an outdoor plaza with my brother.
Yeah.
We were going for a walk. We were just taking a turn, and he like sneezed, and he's got a very wet sneeze, and he turned the other way when he sneezed, as being as thoughtful about it as possible, but the wind
Right.
carried all of it into me.
Oh, no.
You did everything you could here, buddy. But this is gross.
I appreciate it, but I need some bleach.
So we got home. He offered me some food, like some finger food, and I was like, I really appreciate that. And I will take you up on it, but first I need to go wash my entire arm.
Oh, God. That is so rank. Oh. Have you had any more fun, word I can't say or else the podcast gets demonetized experiences since the last one? It's like any public idiots, anything like that?
No,
No?
I don't go out.
That's fair. That's fair. Of our group, I'm pretty sure I'm one of the more extroverted, which is kind of funny because I see myself not super extroverted.
It's just so normalized that everybody here wears masks. So like it's not.
Yeah, it's like it seems like you guys and the cities here in the States that actually have common sense have turned into basically like a nice Japanese city.
Vaguely. Like nobody wears it outside. If you get outside, people always have them off and like dangling and whatever. But we're outside and not near people.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Like as soon as you're near someone, mask goes on. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's still some people that are very uptight about it. But no, it's. I seriously, I don't go out enough to even run into enough problems. I don't think. Like people have signs on their freaking stores. They're like, "Don't come in if there's less, or if you have more than this many people in your party. Don't come in. Only send one person or two people in to get whatever you need." I was like,
Yep.
"Okay, we don't need a whole freaking family to buy bread."
Yep. Yeah, well, so that's yeah. We had that for a little while, and I know Walmart here had that for a little while, and like where I work, we didn't really have that much of an issue. Now, I will say, a couple of days ago, because like every store has like a dramatically reduced maximum capacity, and we had like I think because it was the launch day, which this made no sense to me. Like I like tech, I really do, and I'm like I'm an Apple guy, but I have no problem with other technology. So don't think that I'm like hating on Samsung. But we had a launch, a big launch party at a big launch event for that Galaxy Fold thing, and we actually like ran up on capacity for our store. And when we started stopping people and saying you have to wait until capacity goes down, you would have thought that we were asking them to like go in the back and sacrifice their firstborn to the trash compactor. Like, oh my God. It's like, what do you mean I can't come in? It's like, well, there's a limited capacity. It's like, well, there's a capacity listing on the door. I'm like, right, but that was put here when things were normal. We have a, corporate set limit. We can't go, oh, I'm going to come in. It's like, well, we can't let you in. We're at capacity. Well, those people just left, so I'm going in. It's like, okay, well, we removed them so you can go in. It's like, there shouldn't have been a problem in the first place. It's like, oh my God.
I love it. I hate it.
Yeah. Oh, I like Walmart. They have a little counting tool that their employees hold at the door, and I know their stores. Like so there's a guy who comes over who I've dealt with a couple times who works at Walmart, and I know that at least the time I was talking to him, their store had a max capacity of 100. 100 people in a Walmart. That's a small number. And I kid you not, this guy, when I walked in, not the guy I was talking to, but this guy at the door with the counting tool, like I caught a glance of the screen and the dude was just casually pressing the add button and kept adding it as people came in. And I looked over and the thing turns yellow when you're close to capacity and red when you're over or at or over. And this thing was red and counted almost 240 people. I'm like,
was that
well,
a matter
then.
of him not knowing how to remove people, or was it just that overcapacity?
It was just that overcapacity,
Oh
and
my
I'm pretty
God.
sure the dude just like, well, no, because if I remember correctly, at least the way our system works is on bigger stores, you have people on either side counting entry and exit. And so as the exit button is pressed, it syncs to the one that's counting entry, and it's supposed to do that. I would assume Walmart's is the same way, and that I think the dude just lost the will to count. Or didn't lose the will to count, but lost the will to stop people.
Yep.
Which, I mean, let's be honest.
Honestly,
Here in the States
right
with
now.
Walmart, like, I don't want to stop, Gary Gunholder from coming into a Walmart, and, I don't want to stop him.
And that's all I'm
Yeah.
gonna say on that.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna be really curious. Like, you don't work in retail, right?
No, I can't.
Yeah.
I get too much anxiety on my days off.
That's fair. You've worked in retail though, at least before, right?
Yeah, very shortly.
I wish I could say that.
Literally, I couldn't. Like, I would be anxious any day that I didn't have work. And I
Yeah.
would be terrified that I was going to somehow have forgotten that I had work that day. And so I would just always be sitting there anxious, waiting to get a call, being like, where the hell are you? Even though, like, that wasn't the case. It happened once. It only happened once. Oof. And then after that, it solidified that fear. And I went, nope. I'm forgetting work every single day.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's when I realized I can't work retail. I was actually fine when I was in the store. I had more of a problem when I was not working than when I was working.
Dang, I've never heard it from that perspective before. That's interesting.
Yep. I need a solid schedule or my own schedule.
I would greatly prefer my own schedule, but that's still a thing in the works. But that's, yeah. I'm curious to see, though, how this, like, if things begin to go back to normal, how the general customer employee interactions will change. Because I tell you what, like, I asked to be on inventory, and I'm getting put back out on the sales floor. So I went from, like, sales floor jaded to warehouse worker jaded, and now they're putting me back on the sales floor.
Oh goodness.
Well, and the thing is with where I work, and I keep saying with where I work because I don't want to name any names, and if anybody knows where I work in the comments, please don't say where I work. I still need to be employed. But like, I even said, because they're like, oh yeah, well, it's you're working kind of everywhere now. And the way it was explained to me, I'm like, okay, so I'm basically doing the same thing that I've done since I started working there before, which is I go everywhere, but I'm working in one specific spot by title or whatever.
Right.
But now they're throwing in working up at the customer service section, like dealing with returns and things like that. And I'm just like, I am waiting with bated breath for the day that a customer comes up and gives me guff, because, oh man, I have had months of being warehouse jaded to just bring it out.
You ready to bite?
Oof. I mean, I've already been snarky with some of my employees, because, like, I say my employees, some of the people I work with, some of my coworkers, because, like, there's one guy who very question oriented, asks a lot of questions. I'll just put it that way. And like, he does good on the sales floor, but he just asks so many questions, some of which I'm like, did you Google it first? Did you give even like the slightest bit of search for? And he knows that asking me something like that really irritates me. So he starts a lot of times with, hey, Crespo, sorry, and then asks the question. And the one time when I was still working in the warehouse, I'm walking to the back, and he's just like, hey, Crespo, sorry. I'm just like, it's okay. And just walk past him.
Oh my god. Your sass levels, I swear to God. Like, seriously, I've said this to you before. Sometimes I think I'm sassy, and then I talk to you, and I'm like, I'm a bottom bitch.
It all comes down to how you play off of, the interaction that you're dealing with. That's, oh man, like, I've said before, I said to somebody, I'm like, this is going to be weird because I don't usually curse on my podcast. Actually, you know what? I started the episode by saying, fuck it, we're going to keep that. But I...
also, quote unquote, usually, Garrett, there's been one episode.
I mean, in my videos, not the podcast. But yeah, I don't usually quote... Yeah, sorry. I don't usually curse in my videos. But I'm going to say this anyway. No, I dealt with a customer, and of course, there was that kind of customer where, like, once the manager took over, I just stood there and kind of like smiled and dealt with it, because I'm like, oh boy, like, I'm not going to get fired over this, so I'm going to let the manager deal with it. They used to actually have a manager when they would put me at customer service. There used to be a manager up there, and he would always keep an eye on me whenever a customer got rowdy, because the instant I started, like, coming back, they're like, all right, hey, what can I do here? How can I help you? I think I wanted to return something, and it was one of those deals where it's like, yeah, 15 days to return it. He's like, oh, can I get an exception on a store credit? It's like, well, you've opened it, you've lost the box, and it's been gone out of the store for almost 3 months, so no. Like, why do you think you can do that? And, like, the guy was trying to give me this whole long spiel about, like, oh, well, this and that, and blah, 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 and, like, I didn't have time to make it back with the COVID and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, you bought this 3 months ago. We were open 3 months ago. That's that's not our problem. And I was asked afterwards, it's like, did you even listen to the guy's story? I'm like, yeah, I listened. He's like, what'd you think? I'm like, it's like, this is gonna sound mean. And he goes, because it is. I'm like, because it is. I'm like, it was like a quantum computer with 80 years to process me and my thought process would never be able to, even in all that time, come up with a number that would quantify the sheer minuscule amount of fucks I don't give. And it's just like, you really just didn't care. I'm like, no, I didn't care.
Good Lord.
It's like there are simpler ways to say that, but I like driving home exactly how I feel.
And the moral of the story today, folks, is Garrett doesn't give a fuck.
No, there's things I really do care about. Just don't try to return a 3-month-old toaster that you said, needs to be returned on a store credit if you've had it out of the store for 3 months on a 15-day return policy.
Yeah, I had a keyboard. My usual keyboard broke the other day.
Is it a MacBook Pro keyboard? Because that seems to be common.
No. It was a 6-year-old keyboard that I've had forever, maybe 7-year-old, and I knew that it was going to die eventually. And it's been doing a damn good job for as long as it continued to function, but the enter button got stuck, and that's kind of a key button to, lose. And like I tried taking it apart a little bit to get it to work, but it was just done. So I had to emergency run to the store, buy a new keyboard, and I was like, I don't have the money to drop on a good $150 keyboard right now. I just can't. So I was like looking around, and I was like, what can I afford that's not going to be garbage? That's not like the wireless Logitech things, because I'm not going to be able to play games properly with that. And I was talking to this guy, and I was like, look, can I buy this, use it for a little while, and then as soon as I have the money, bring it back if it's within 30 days? And he's like, yeah, I mean, so long as you have everything for it and it's within 30 days, you'll be fine. I'm like, cool, I'm going to use this shitty keyboard for a little while. I'm going to go grab some editing commissions. I will be back, and I will put the money from this keyboard into a better one.
Like, as long as you're within the return policy, most companies do not care, especially if you're going to come back and buy a better one. Like, they're still making money.
Yeah.
But it's like if you come back with an item that the box is missing, you've missed the deadline for returning it by not just a week, but by several months.
Yeah.
It's like, even at that point, a store credit's unreasonable. Like, come on now.
With everything, and it drives my mother crazy, I keep the box for absolutely everything that I buy until I am certain. Like, I wait for a week before I'm like, okay, now I can get rid of this box, until I am certain that the product has no issues with it and that it doesn't crap out, so that if I have to return it, I have the box and I have no way of anybody saying that there is a problem with me returning it.
I do that with Apple products specifically, or big purchases. Like when I bought my 10 terabyte hard drive, I kept that box for a long time. I'm like, I need to keep this box, because the drive I got, it's like one of those ones. It's like, oh, you put it in a server. Meanwhile, I have it just sitting on my desk. But like, it's one of those like, 5-year warranty. I'm like, I'm keeping this box. I still have it somewhere.
Yeah, I've got like I bought my nice new desktop, and I was like, I'm not getting rid of this
you got a new
box.
desktop.
Oh yeah, I got it. A couple months ago, 2 months ago.
Oh, that never came up.
Oh yeah, it's pretty. It's got nice RGB lights and everything.
Yay, more RGB. I do not. That is the one computer trend that I'm like, I'm probably gonna build a PC like that just because, but I don't get it.
See, I love it. But my only thing is, I wish that it was customizable. I didn't buy.
Is it just the cycling what is it? Cycling rainbows.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's pretty. That's cool. I like it. I like my things to be flashy.
Okay.
So
fair enough.
I like it.
You'd have like a chrome pink Lamborghini if you could, right?
No, not pink.
Okay.
But chrome.
Some sort of flashy chrome. Some sort of flashy chrome.
It's gonna be bright.
That was like the first one I thought of was like the car from the Suicide Squad.
Oh
yeah. That was what I thought of when you're like, I like my things flashy, and for some reason that was the first thing that came up. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no, but like I bought this, and it's a massive box. Like, it's a really big box, because it's the big box plus like the computer has to be stored in like thick styrofoam and then put in the box.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really big, and I just had this massive box sitting in my room for like all of August, and like I guess September too. It was like, here we go. It's big, it's bulky, it's in the way, but damn it, if this computer gives out, I am taking it back.
Right. Yeah. No, that's completely understandable. No, it was a pre-built, right?
Yeah. I tried.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
it is insane trying to build a computer in Canada right now. I went through the process of putting everything together that I wanted into my computer, like looked up all the parts and what it was compatible with. And
yeah.
like at first you're like, okay, it's going to be a little bit cheaper. But converting the American prices to Canadian drives it up. And then shipping right now is absurd.
Well, you guys don't have like what is that? I know you guys have some local computer places. Don't you have like Memory Express and a couple places like that, like in Canada?
We've got some computer places, but a lot of them still have to ship them from the US first.
So yeah, I guess that
And it was crazy because I was like, I got all the prices for everything, and I was like, I had a budget. And originally this budget was fine, but once you throw in all the shipping prices, it was cheaper for me to buy a pre-built computer missing maybe one or two things that like are slightly worse, but in the end
you can add them later.
Yeah, and I made sure that like it's got a motherboard that I can actually use that's compatible with other stuff that I can add things to later.
There you go.
So if I do want to make things better, I have that option. But I was just going nuts, realizing that it was just unfeasible to be building a computer from scratch with the budget that I had, because it went so high up with how all the prices are right now.
That's crazy.
It was absurd.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. I was going nuts.
Yeah, because I was looking at, I'm looking to upgrade the graphics card in my one computer because the NVIDIA came out with the new generation of graphics cards or whatever.
Yeah.
And apparently they all basically like vanished off the face of the earth within like a few days of pre-ordering, so that's cool. But like, yeah, when I built my system, but I built it back, I guess, when pricing wasn't terrible. But it's actually funny you said that about prices going up, because I don't even think, like, yeah, obviously changing it from like freedom bucks up to Canadian is like insane as well, but like generally prices have skyrocketed because, like, I mean, price wise, I'll say I built my computer and I spent in total, like just flat drop build it, I think I spent like $1,500. It was a pretty penny, but it's a machine that, you know, still does everything I need, and I haven't really had to touch anything in it apart from I added a faster drive for booting Windows and all that. Like, that's the only thing that I've really done upgrade wise until I get the graphics card. And I looked it up because I did PC Parts Picker just to see like how much it's worth now, because I'm like, oh god, like it's always fun to look at that stuff, you know. Like I spent an absurd amount of money on my main editing laptop, on my main editing computer, and it's now worth like probably almost $300 or $400 less than before. So it's not terrible, but it's still like, oh god, why? The PC I built has appreciated in value. Like if I actually went and built the exact same thing piece for piece today, I would spend closer to $2,000 on it. Wild. It's nuts. Yeah. I'm like that's insane, because like the number one, graphics cards never go down in price, which is insane. The board that I have is one of the few boards that's still currently like readily available, so it's went up in price. It's just nuts.
It's crazy as well, because I wanted to focus on graphics cards for a number of reasons. Like that was one of my main priorities with this
Premiere
computer.
Eats that up.
Yeah, exactly. And so I ended up with a better graphics card with a pre-built computer than what I would have been able to afford building it myself. I was like, this is stupid. This is dumb.
Bulk discounts. Well, yeah, the pre-builders get those bulk discounts, but I was going to say it makes sense though for you to keep the box and the warranty and all that, or the box and all that stuff, because like, not to say pre-builts are bad, but my god,
they have their problems.
And not just that, there's a vast difference between person to person who builds it, which means there is a massive difference in just one computer to another when it comes to quality control.
Yeah. And I was very aware of that. That's why I wanted, you know, it's one of many reasons why I just wanted to build my own. But
no, that makes sense.
hey man, it saved me some time just to, because literally I was like online trying to trying to build my own. Went through a number of different models trying to be like, okay, what can I cut out to and replace to make this thing better for my needs, given my budget. And then I was getting so frustrated. I was like, fuck it, I'm looking at pre-built computers. And then I was like, I hate this. This is going to be cheaper and it's better than what I'm trying to make because of the fucking prices right now. And I'm just like, that night went online, reserved it in the store, picked it up the next day.
Which model pre-built did you get?
It's an Asus ROG.
Okay. Well, yeah, there you go. That's actually going to be
Yeah.
pretty solidly built. Asus is pretty strict on their
and
QC.
My laptop was an ROG, so I knew exactly what I was going to look for if I was going to...
Is that the one with the fans that never turn down?
Yeah. It sounds like an airplane taking off because I spilled water on it, and it was lucky that it even survived the water damage. So the fact that it had airplane fans, I was totally fine with it.
Dried it out faster.
But I knew that the ROGs were stuff that I really liked, so I knew exactly what I was going to look for if I was going to get a pre-built anything.
Yeah, that's definitely, it's better than I've seen like some of the best stories and some of the worst horror stories in the world from companies like iBuyPower, which I think is what are they for you guys? I forget. I think they're NZXT or NZXT or whatever. I think that's what they are up in Canada, but yeah, I've heard horror stories from those guys.
No, when it comes to pre-built stuff, I'm so conscious about it or cautious about it. When
either's appropriate.
When I'm looking at getting a new computer or something like that, because I'm like, look, I need this thing to be as best as possible, and I refuse to just buy something because it's cheaper, because as soon as you start doing that, you're gonna start missing stuff that you had to really pay attention to whether or not it had or not.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing, I've seen people bash pre-builts, and they're like, if you want a pre-built that's built consistently and never has, any sort of variance in quality control, get a Mac. Otherwise, build it yourself. I'm like, no, there are not just Apple that have good quality control. It's just, like you said, you've got to be very picky.
Yeah.
And that's because we had a CyberPower at work that was up on display. And I even pointed out, I'm like, I don't think this thing's long for this world. They're like, why? I'm like, because every morning when you turn it on to start running the demo, you can hear a very audible click from the power supply.
Oh, no.
They're like, oh, no, it's fine. Literally, I was standing by ringing out a customer, and I just hear this, and it stopped, and I turned around, and I look, and the screen's off. I'm like, and that's the end of that. And I just was like, excuse me a second. I turned around and I just unplugged it from everything, and I was like, anyway, keep moving on. Didn't even act like I was fazed by it. And that was the one where on ship back they gave us crap because they were I don't know if whatever. I'm not disclosing anything that isn't already known. But yeah, during ship back somebody broke the glass side panel.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so that was a mess in the container, so that was fun.
See, I saw a post on Twitter from Jacksepticeye the other day where he accidentally broke the glass panel on his computer. I was like, how do you even manage that? When it comes to shipping, I can understand that, but if your computer is just sitting there, what the f did you do to your desktop to somehow manage to smash that?
I can understand if it's my thing is, I can understand if it's a gaming desktop that's down on the ground.
That's what.
But in that instance, what? Oh, really? Yours is on the ground?
Yeah, mine's on the ground on a wooden board because I have a carpeted floor and I'm not putting it on carpet.
So, what I was about to say then was, no offense, but what I was about to say is, if it's on the floor, in my instance, if I get a computer that's going to sit on the floor, it'll either be one of those Mac Pro towers, which is just a big aluminum box, or with my gaming desktop, it's just a big black metal box. There's no windows, there's no side panels,
Yeah.
it's just a black box that sits there. I'm like, that makes sense, because then, like, even if I'm sitting there with my shoes on and I move and I kick the side or something, I'm not going to break anything. Like, the glass side panel ones are usually the ones that I see on display a lot, where they're up on the desk and they're like prominently shown off. Like, the desk I use for editing conveniently has a little L side piece, but the entire one side of it is literally designed to be like enough space to put your desktop. They even showed it as like, put your desktop on your desk. I just use it to pile camera equipment and hard drives, but or as a workbench. But
I would
that's what
have
it's there
mine
for.
on my desk, but the way that I've got like a warehouse desk as my current desk, so there's no good way of putting it on top of my desk without having my cord economy be a disaster.
Oh, I mean, I still have a nice desk, and it's a disaster under the desk for cords.
I'm okay
It's
with it
nice
being
on
a
top of the
disaster
desk.
under the desk. It's the disaster on top of the desk, like in my actual like movement space, that I have a problem.
Yeah, no, I made sure cord management on mine was also like just OCD levels of clean.
No, mine's not like terrible, but like it just wouldn't work on top of my current desk because I had to move everything from. So last time that we did this podcast, I was not in the room that I'm currently in, and I've moved everything out of that room, and I'm now all the way back up to the room that I had when we first met.
Oh, there you go.
And so I had this massive black desk that it's super heavy, it's awkward, it's a wonderful desk when you don't need to move it. My brother's...
Was that the desk that you had the stuff on when we were doing the recording sessions?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think you've ever seen this desk.
Okay.
It's this really nice big black desk. But my brothers have had to move this desk 3 times already for me. Twice in the last like year and a half or something like that. And I was sitting there and I was like, there is no way I can possibly ask them to move this desk again, because it barely fits through doors. I was like, look, I'm gonna take this it's not even a crappy desk, this is a nice sturdy desk I still have here.
Jeez.
But I was like, look, I'm gonna build this desk up in my room. Nobody has to move anything because I just feel too bad getting both of them to take time out of their days just to strain themselves. And this is 2 relatively large flights of stairs that they'd have to bring this thing out of. So, yeah.
That's funny.
I miss having my desktop on my desk, but it was not worth it to put my nice flashy desktop on top of my desk.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing you were saying too about like with like placement. It's like as long as it's somewhere where it can breathe and it's just out of the way. Like that's my whole thing. Is it's like, my dream computer is that big cheese grater Mac tower that they made. Like I would love to have one of those. But I would feel kind of bad because they made it look, all nice and pretty, and they put a lot of time into the engineering and the design and the look. And it would literally sit under my desk, just cranking away at whatever I need it to for the however many years I would have it. Like that would be it.
See,
that's how most of my computers are. My really pretty laptop sits behind 2 monitors out of line of sight with 2 cords plugged into it, just powering displays. It's nothing special.
I've got a nice small room here, so it's pretty easy even under my desk to spot my desktop, just because
well, it's true.
It's bright, it's flashy, you'll see it under the desk.
It's like a beacon is still a beacon, doesn't matter where you place
exactly.
it. Yeah, I think that's the difference, because I like the, like, if it's flashy, it's got to be like I don't know, like subtle flashy doesn't sound quite right.
I really like that you just said flashy.
Why?
It's just funny.
Oh, okay.
That's all. Flashy.
Okay. Flashy?
No, flashy.
Did I say it that way?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, okay. All right, then fine.
Yeah.
Go ahead, make fun of the way I say things.
I will, because it was fun.
I knew you.
It was fun. I liked it.
But yeah, no, like I mean, like the I don't know. I like the looks that are very I don't know. Like they've got a very distinct like you look at it, you're like that's like classy. I guess is kind of the best way to kind of put it. Like I like the really like kind of like oh wow that looks so cool, but it's kind of this understated look. Like I get the RGB thing, but for me it's like that's way too flashy, as you said.
Flashy.
Jeez.
I love it.
That was a fun tangent.
Oh my god.
Oh man, actually, we're coming up on it. Well, actually, I think we're coming up on or a little over an hour at this point.
We're over an hour.
We're over an hour. Yes, we are. Oh yeah, we are. I was trying to like look at the time and do the math, but there's a giant counter.
There's
right
a big
on
counter. Yeah. Do you like snacks?
Yes.
That's all.
Why?
No, that's it.
That's okay.
I was just wondering if you like snacks.
Good podcast topic. Do you like snacks?
Do you like snacks? It's an important question.
It is a very important question. I actually need to go grocery shopping after this because not only am I out of snacks, but I'm running out of food. So, you know.
I've been eating sausage rolls throughout this entire podcast.
I have basically just been drinking a large Sprite from McDonald's because today was my one cheat day that I've had in like 2 months.
Do you like Sprite?
It's the less like offensive of the sodas that I will drink. Why?
Sprite to me just tastes like water with sugar in it. It doesn't actually have a flavor to me.
Well, you gotta stop letting the ice melt in it.
I don't get ice in my drinks.
Oh. My abuela used to put ice in milk.
That's weird.
It is
That's
very
weird right there.
Yeah, that was a very odd thing. So
you get people that complain about like anything less than 3% milk being just water, like water milk, and then you get people that put fucking ice in their milk.
Yeah, that was my abuela for when I was growing up. That was a unique experience. I'll put it that way.
I've been told that letting your milk freeze just a little bit before putting it in cereal is really good. That's just what I've been told.
Interesting. I don't know what that would be like.
I've never tried it. I've just been told. I'm just passing on a message that I've heard.
That's interesting. Well, because it's like the ice in milk thing, except you're not diluting milk with water. It's just more frozen milk.
Yeah.
I almost feel like the texture would be really weird though. Because have you ever had like the bottles of water that get frozen and then it's like
that's my favorite.
Ice, but it's
that's
not
my fucking favorite.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm not
that.
bashing that. Yeah, I'm not bashing that. I'm just thinking like if that's what it turns into, where it's like the like chunklets of ice.
Chunklets. I love it. No, keep going. I'm sorry.
Okay, but no, if you get the little chunklets of milk in there, it's like it would be different, I guess, because it's not like a milk cube.
Can you call Harley your little chunklet?
No, because she can't even drive, and she'll find a way to come down here and probably beat me with something. Oh my god. I didn't think that would be a funny thing.
That's great. I love it so much. I fully just hear my Yuri going, "It's my little chunklet."
Oh my god. Don't worry, Mayuri, we will avenge your chunklet.
And it was really just the Oopa named Chunklet the entire time.
He's the metal one that saved the saved the paper that caused the end of the world.
Oh my!
Damn you, Chunklet! How dare you? He brought on World War III in the race to make time machines.
Chunklet's fault.
Oh no!
She didn't write her name on the side. She just wrote Chunklet.
Hey, you know what? If you want to be the one to comp that on, go right ahead.
Yeah, you know I probably will.
Oh God. be just like the one Easter egg for the 8 people that listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I think we should probably start wrapping the podcast up.
I think that's a great place to end it.
That is a perfect place to end. Also, the fact that it's like 4:00 and this has to go up.
Actually, it's 4:20. What?
Wow. Talking about chunklets and ending the podcast at 4:20. That's yeah. So, because I gotta you gotta upload your shit, and then I gotta actually edit it this time because I put in a part of the podcast that I was gonna show a picture, and you have a picture, and then it also takes like an hour and a half to freaking render. Oh boy.
Oh, I fucked that up.
Can't wait to not use my computer for an hour and a half while it sits and grinds. Actually, I can. That is the one thing that I love that fucking Premiere doesn't do. Is Premiere just goes, hey, I see you're rendering. Well, you can't do anything else with this program. Whereas like in Final Cut, I can at least work on the thumbnail while it chugs away in the background.
See, I just do the thumbnail in Photoshop.
Yeah, I don't know Photoshop well enough. Plus, a lot of the times it's just a snippet from the video with like something added on it, so it's easier to just take a still frame, drop it into a different project, and add things to it.
See, I usually just grab the still frame before I press the render button, and then I put it in Photoshop.
Yeah, but that requires pre-planning. I just hit the render button and then figure things out later.
You fucking get smart, Garrett.
That's why After Effects surprised me when it said 13 hours to render. All right, I'm done. Go. Oh shit, this isn't going to be done until like tomorrow. Oh yeah, that's anyway. Anyway, all right, that's been fun. I didn't have a sponsor this time because nobody took advantage of it last time. They sold it all on a different show. But anyway, that's not a thing. Who cares? That never happened. Hey, thanks for joining me, Haven.
You're welcome.
Thanks for giving me a different picture this time.
Yeah, you're welcome. That one's actually a lot closer to me.
Yeah, how about that? And if anybody wants to animate this, go ahead. I loved the animation last time, so thank you very, very much, Doodle Deers, for doing that. I can't wait to see what comes out of this podcast, and I'm really excited for the next podcast because I'm trying to work with some guests to get other people in here as well as you, and maybe Harley won't drink herself into a hangover next time. That'll be cool. And yeah. Anyway, hey, thanks for watching, guys, and yeah, see ya. Bye.